great job telling you about Cathy. I could add a lot, but a lot of the stuff, a lot of the things you've heard. And I just want to save time in case there's anyone else who wants to speak. If I don't speak loud enough, just put your thumbs up or something like that to show me I should speak louder. So good to see all of you folks, so precious to each one of us. As Joe may have insinuated, or perhaps I'll put it this way. Cathy was born again as a young child. Later, her father came to know the Lord Jesus Christ. And how it came about with her father is that he was bound by drink. And the preacher came to see him and the family. And guess what? Her father was drunk. And he said to him, Jack, he said, why don't you give up all this stuff? And what he meant was a sinful lifestyle. What he meant was the drinking. And there are a number of other things which I would not want to tell you about. Just like any poor sinner, and we all were sinners, but we're saved by grace, aren't we? Amen. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. I made a mistake at the funeral parlor, and I said, I made the remark about her doctor, how good he treated her, and actually the doctor's wife, on her day off, no less, came in with him and talked with Cathy. And this was, I don't know of that happening. Maybe it does, but I haven't heard of it. But anyhow, I made the remark that I said that they were such good people. I said they deserve to go to heaven. Well, fortunately, there was, do I dare name him? But there was a pastor right at my elbow. And he said, none of us deserve to go to heaven. And I said, he's right. And nobody said that because the person to whom he was speaking, or I was speaking, may not have been a Christian. And as Joe says, we can't get to heaven on works. Doesn't matter, we could have served the church in the choir. We could have even served as its pastor or assistant pastor. Done a lot of things for the church, but unless you have that born-again experience, you must be born again. And that means receiving the new life that is in Jesus Christ by praying the prayer. And we get into about little testaments, and the back of those testaments, the last 2 pages, it shows anyone who receives one, how to receive Christ as their own personal Savior. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. People say, well, how about those persons that don't know about various religions? I don't judge them. I just know what Jesus said. He said it, I believe it. As long as I know it, I do it. And I hope I'm obedient to his word. One of the songs that was really her testimony goes this way. I've a yearning in my heart that cannot be denied. It's a longing that has never yet been satisfied. I want the world to know the one who loves them so. Like a flame, it's burning deep inside. To be used of God, to sing, to speak, to pray. To be used of God, to show someone the way. I long so much to feel the touch of his consuming fire. To be used of God is my desire. So that's how she felt. That's how she lived. She lived to tell others about Christ. Question was asked of me, what was probably the better part or the greatest part or best years of her life? And some would probably go back and say, well, the best time is when those 2 wonderful sons came into the world. Those are probably the best days of her life, even though she went through a lot of pain. And people sometimes, while they're going through pain, there also are some wonderful times that happen. Sometimes, you know, there's such a mix of that. Like our brother said, it is bittersweet. Bittersweet. A lot of pain of childbirth, but oh, the joy. But I think that with Cathy, I know her heart. And also she stood by my side when we passed through churches. First when we were like Joe. We pioneered a church down in Georgia. And it was, sorry about that, it was Maryland first. Down in Damascus, Maryland. Bob and Daryl were just little tots at that time. In fact, Dad, when we first went down, just have to take a deep breath, right? Thank you. You all know me, and I know you folks. Daryl went with us. Bob wasn't there yet. The morning that Bob came, guess what? I was out. It was in November, and I went down. I had to start the fire in the little old Oddfellows Hall. We're meeting upstairs, just like you folks met in a school. And we were holding services. I went out and I started the fire, got it nice and warm. She was in the hospital. I couldn't be by her side. I had to preach that morning. But this word soon got to me, you know, that he had arrived, Bob had arrived, and I went down to see Cathy. So Cathy had stood by my side. She realized there were times I couldn't be with her. And, you know, she let the Lord and the Lord's work come first. She worked. I was what they sometimes refer to as a tent maker. And she also worked so that we could supply the needs of the family. She was faithful in that, always faithful to me and faithful to God. Joe covered the matter of her being a prayer warrior. And she just prayed and prayed till as long as she could for those who were lost, especially those of her family. And if she is looking down, some people think they can see. But if she is looking down, I would still say, Lord, lead that one or those ones home. Because she wants to see them one day. When I go, Jesus is the first one I want to see. I mean, Cathy didn't die for me. She loved me. She stood by me. I love her. Wonderful lady. God made an indescribably wonderful and beautiful lady out of her. But you know, I want to see Jesus first. He died on the cross for my sins. Without him, I wouldn't have made it to heaven. And maybe without Cathy, my other ones, I would still like to see Jesus. Okay. So the happiest time, though, I'm coming to that, was the last probably 7 years of her life. Pain, yes, she had pain. Illness, she had illness. She had sickness, she had the sorrow. Her sister died, went to heaven 25 days before she did. Once in a while, they would talk on the phone, and of course, they were back and forth. I love to hear her laugh. And they would tell each other jokes and laugh and have a lot of fun. They were a great encouragement to one another. And as they talked, sometimes I would just slip up and hear what they were saying. Never a word, never a bad word about me. She didn't badmouth me at all. Never caught her. And, and I trusted her. Oh, okay. Now you really want to know the kind of lady Cathy was. Well, these are things I can tell you that you don't know about. So he covered a lot of them, most of them. Mild, sweet, affectionate. She was tough, bold, persistent, and unyielding when it was called for. And she was the first to speak up and feel hurt when anything happened to me, anyone bad-mouthed me, they were in trouble. She was as loyal could be. And however, the fruit of the Spirit was very evident in her life. And she loved the Lord. She's a woman of the book, the Bible. She was a woman of prayer, woman of faith, person seeking to live a holy life, a lady who witnessed to others about her faith. The last nurse, the nurse that was there really on the ship, that she passed over. She didn't pass away, don't you dare say that. She just passed over into heaven. But anyhow, that lady was given medical New Testament. And tears were in her eyes. She was, more tears, she said, that night than I did. That's not a good admission, is it? But I think I can handle it. I have plenty of time that I will be weeping. Probably most of it alone. There'll be times I'll be thinking like I did when the lady brought some food for us. And I brought it in. I thought, as usual, the refrigerator and the freezer is totally full. That's just like our mother. Isn't that right, Jack? Always full, always thinking. Mother was just like, she learned a lot of this from her mother, but I'm sure Jesus enhanced that. But I was thinking, I looked in there, it's so full. There's no room for this. And as I was just pulling things out, checking, are there expiration dates on any of this? Well, that's, she is so saving that when we put leftovers in the refrigerator, we both put dates on them. You want another funny one? I'll tell you. Please don't tell anyone else, please. I even put the year on it. Just in case. It makes it out to the freezer within a couple of days. All right, she was a great lady. Her greatest accomplishments were probably her 2 sons. But I would think the work that she did for the Lord was the best. And she was a woman of compassionate heart, and then also one who gives cheerfully and generously. We always decide between ourselves just how much we give and to whom. And we strike out with a number, and sometimes we don't agree, but I'll tell you, she always, as far as I can remember, agreed with me when I gave the big number. And she was generous. Gotcha, Joe. Now, what Cathy enjoyed. She enjoyed the look on my face when I returned from an empty mailbox on holidays. She enjoyed finding something that was right in front of me that I'd been missing for what seemed like hours, and was right there all the time. She also enjoyed reminding me to turn off lights when I left the room. She tried to teach me to do that, and she hated to be wrong. She had to be right. And when we disagreed, and you know what? She wasn't right. She thought she was right all the time, but she was wrong. I'm not finished yet. I think she was right about 99 44/100% of the time. But also in the last shot is this. 30 seconds, Joe. Cathy hated, I'm taking the length, to hurt anyone's feelings. And she also hated that ancient foe, the devil. She wanted to pull people from his grasp and take them with her to heaven. God bless her.